They broke the floor at 4:26 p.m. No ceremony. No hesitation. Just a jackhammer cutting through concrete that wasn't supposed to exist. Daniel Hargrove sat at the top of the basement stairs, hands cuffed, eyes locked on the ground as if refusing to witness what he already knew was coming. He didn't fight. Didn't speak. He just listened. Each crack of the hammer echoed through the house like something being forced awake. The officers worked in silence. No one made jokes. No one rushed. There was a weight in the room, thick, pressing, undeniable. Because everyone already understood one thing. You don't pour fresh concrete in a basement for no reason. It took 12 minutes to break through. And 5 seconds for the smell to change. The moment the first slab lifted, the air shifted, sharp, rotten, unmistakable. Not lingering anymore. Not hidden. Exposed. One officer stepped back immediately, covering his nose. Another turned his head, eyes tightening as reality caught up with suspicion. Officer Reynolds didn't move. He just stared down into the opening. It wasn't a pipe. It wasn't structural damage. It was a space. Deliberately carved out beneath the foundation. Rough, uneven, but intentional. About 6 feet long. 2 feet deep. A grave. And inside it was a plastic-wrapped shape. No one spoke for several seconds. The kind of silence that doesn't come from uncertainty, but from confirmation. Call it in, Reynolds said finally, voice flat. Forensics arrived within 20 minutes. The house was sealed. The street blocked off. Neighbors gathered at a distance, whispering in low tones, pretending they hadn't always felt something was wrong. Claire Jensen stood on her porch, arms folded tightly across her chest. Her dog refused to stop barking. They lifted the body carefully. Layer by layer. Plastic. Tape. More plastic. The work was slow, methodical. Respectful. Because this wasn't just evidence anymore. It was Emily Carter. Her face confirmed it. Bruised. Pale. But unmistakable. The missing person case was no longer missing. It was murder. Daniel didn't react when they brought her upstairs. Didn't look. Didn't ask. Just sat there staring at nothing. Until Officer Reynolds stepped in front of him. Who helped you? He asked. That's when Daniel blinked. Slowly. Like the question had taken time to reach him. I didn't do this alone, he said quietly. No denial. No defense. Just a statement. And just like that, the case changed. They moved him to interrogation immediately. Same room. Same table. Same fluorescent lights that made everything feel colder than it was. Daniel sat across from 2 detectives, his posture still composed. But something underneath had shifted. Not panic. Not fear. Relief. You want to tell us what happened? One of them asked. Daniel exhaled. Long, controlled. Then leaned forward slightly. It wasn't supposed to be like that, he said. That's how it always starts. He explained it in pieces. Not emotional. Not chaotic. Just structured. Like a man recounting a process. He saw Emily walking that night. Alone. Headphones in. Distracted. He followed her in his car. Slowly. Watching. Waiting. I didn't plan it, he said. But the detectives didn't interrupt. Because men like Daniel always say that. He pulled over. Got out. Spoke to her. Something casual. Something harmless. She hesitated, but didn't run. That was enough. What happened next wasn't fully detailed. He avoided specifics. Skipped over moments. Compressed time. But the result was clear. Emily never made it home. I panicked, he said. That word again. Always panic. Never intention. He brought her to the house. Alive. That detail landed heavily. Because it meant something worse happened later. Something slower. What happened in the basement? The detective asked. Daniel looked down at his hands. Then back up. I called him, he said. The room shifted. Called who? Daniel hesitated. For the first time there was resistance. Not fear of being caught. Fear of saying the name. He told me what to do, Daniel continued. Step by step. Who? Silence. Then. Marcus. No last name. Just that. Marcus. Marcus who? The detective pressed. Daniel shook his head. I don't know his real name. That wasn't entirely true. And they knew it. How do you know him? Reynolds asked from the corner. Daniel's jaw tightened slightly. Then relaxed. Online. That one word changed everything. Because now this wasn't just a murder. It was something else. Something wider. What kind of online? The detective asked. Daniel leaned back. Eyes drifting slightly, not avoiding but remembering. A forum, he said. Private. You don't find it unless you're looking. What kind of forum? Daniel smiled faintly. Not proud. Not ashamed. Just aware. The kind where people don't ask questions. The room went quiet again. He explained how it started. Months earlier. Late nights. Scrolling. Curiosity turning into something darker. He found the forum by accident. Or at least that's what he claimed. A hidden space buried under layers of access. Invite only, encrypted, invisible to normal users. Inside, people didn't talk about normal things. They shared ideas, methods, mistakes. And one name kept appearing. Marcus. Not loud, not dominant, but respected. Whenever someone posted a problem, Marcus answered. Clean, precise, effective. Daniel started reading everything Marcus wrote. Every comment, every suggestion. Studying, learning. You're saying he taught you how to kill? The detective asked. Daniel shook his head. No, he said. He taught me how not to get caught. That distinction mattered more. The room felt colder. When did you contact him? Reynolds asked. After, Daniel replied. After. That meant the crime had already happened. The decision made. The damage done. And he helped you hide it? Daniel nodded. Told me exactly what to do. What to use. How deep. How to seal it. The concrete. The void. The precision. It wasn't panic. It was instruction. Did you pay him? The detective asked. Another pause. Yes. How much? 5,000. For directions. For silence. For expertise. Do you still have contact with him? Daniel hesitated again. Longer this time. Then slowly. He nodded. That was the moment the case expanded beyond the house. Beyond Emily. Beyond Daniel. Because now there was someone else. Someone unseen. Someone who didn't touch the crime. But shaped it. And if Daniel found him once, others could too. Show us, Reynolds said. Daniel looked up. I steady again. I can't, he said. Why not? Because you don't access it like that. How do you access it? Daniel leaned forward slightly. Voice dropping. You get invited. The silence that followed was heavier than anything before. Because invitations mean networks. And networks mean patterns. And patterns mean this wasn't the first time. Or the last. Reynolds stared at him. Trying to measure truth from performance. But one thing was already clear. Daniel wasn't the only one who failed. Someone else made a mistake too. They left a trace. And now the question wasn't just who Marcus was. It was how many others were out there, following his instructions. They didn't find Marcus the way they expected. No sudden arrest. No dramatic raid. Just a mistake. Digital forensics worked fast. They traced Daniel's payments, crypto transfers routed through multiple wallets, bounced across countries designed to disappear. But one transaction slipped. Just once. A wallet reused. A timestamp overlapping with a login. A single crack in a system built on precision. That crack led to a name. Not Marcus, but close enough. Adrian Voss. He wasn't hiding in some remote corner of the world. He was living quietly in a mid-sized European city. No record. No flags. No history of violence. A systems engineer. Clean. Ordinary. Invisible. Until they looked closer. His devices told a different story. Encrypted drives. Deleted logs. Fragments of conversations recovered piece by piece. And inside them, instructions. Detailed. Clinical. Reusable. Not just for Daniel. For others. Different cases. Different countries. Same patterns. Same methods. Same voice guiding from the shadows. He never touched the victims. Never left his home. Never appeared at a crime scene. But he was there. Every time. When authorities finally moved in, Adrian didn't run. Didn't resist. He opened the door like he had been expecting them. You took longer than I thought, he said. Inside they found everything. Not trophies. Not souvenirs. Just data. Threads of conversations. Step-by-step breakdowns. Mistakes analyzed. Improvements suggested. Like a teacher refining a process. One file stood out. A simple list. Dates. Locations. Usernames. Over 30 entries. Daniel wasn't the first. He wasn't even close. In interrogation, Adrian didn't deny anything. Didn't justify it either. I never forced anyone, he said. They came to me. That was true. But it didn't make it better. Because he didn't need to commit the crime. He just needed to make sure others could. And wouldn't get caught. Except they did. The evidence they tried to hide. The concrete. The forum. The encrypted trail. It all failed for the same reason. Control creates patterns. Patterns leave traces. And traces always lead somewhere. Daniel Hargrove was convicted within a year. Adrian Voss faced charges across multiple countries. Cases reopened. Families given answers they were never supposed to have. And the forum? Gone. Wiped. Like it never existed. But that doesn't mean it's over. Because places like that don't disappear. They evolve. They relocate. They wait. And somewhere, right now, someone is asking the wrong question. And someone else is ready to answer. It started with a house no one wanted to talk about. Not abandoned. Not condemned. Just avoided. Sitting quietly at the end of Alder Creek Road, the property looked ordinary enough. White siding, trimmed lawn, a porch swing that moved slightly even when there was no wind. Neighbors passed it every day, but no one slowed down. No one stared. It was like an unspoken agreement had settled over the street. Look anywhere else. The owner, Daniel Hargrove, wasn't the kind of man who drew attention. Mid-40s, worked in logistics, paid his bills on time. The type of person you'd forget moments after meeting him. That's exactly why no one noticed when things began to shift. It was the smell that came first. A faint, sour odor drifting beyond his fence line. Subtle enough to ignore at first, strong enough to raise questions after a few days. Neighbors blamed garbage, then a dead animal, then the nearby drainage ditch. No one knocked on his door. Because deep down they didn't want answers. 3 houses down, a woman named Claire Jensen noticed something else. Her dog refused to walk past the property. Every time they approached, it froze, ears pinned back, body rigid, before pulling hard in the opposite direction. Animals don't lie. Claire mentioned it to her husband. He laughed it off. Probably hears something underground, he said. He wasn't entirely wrong. 2 weeks later, Daniel reported a break-in. Police arrived mid-morning. No signs of forced entry. Nothing stolen. The story didn't add up, but Daniel insisted. Someone had been inside his house. Watching him speak, Officer Reynolds noticed something off. Not fear. Not anger. Control. Daniel's voice was steady, too steady. His eyes never wandered. He answered every question before it was fully asked, like he had rehearsed it. When asked what exactly had been disturbed, he hesitated. Then said, "The basement." That was the first mistake. The basement door was locked. Daniel claimed it always was. Said he kept old equipment down there, nothing worth stealing. But when Officer Reynolds asked to take a look, something shifted. Pause. A flicker. Just for a second. Then Daniel smiled. Sure. The key turned slowly. The door creaked open. And the smell hit them all at once. It wasn't garbage. It wasn't sewage. It was something heavier. Something that clung to the back of your throat. The kind of smell that doesn't belong in a living home. Officer Reynolds stepped down first, flashlight cutting through the dimness. The basement was unfinished. Bare concrete, exposed beams, a single bulb hanging from the ceiling. Clean. Too clean. No clutter. No dust. No signs of old equipment. Just empty space. Except for one thing. A section of the floor near the far wall looked different. The concrete was slightly discolored. Not cracked. Not broken. Just newer. Reynolds crouched, running his fingers along the surface. Smooth. Recently poured. Renovation? He asked. Daniel nodded quickly. Had some water damage. Fixed it myself. No receipt. No contractor. No permit. Nothing official. That should have been enough to dig deeper. But it wasn't. Because nothing illegal had been found. No warrant. No probable cause. Just a smell and a feeling. They left. And that was the second mistake. 3 days later, a woman went missing. Emily Carter. Worked at a local diner. Known, liked, predictable. She followed routines. Same shift. Same route home. Until she didn't. Her car was found parked along Alder Creek Road. Engine off. Door unlocked. Phone still inside. And just 200 feet away. Daniel Hargrove's house. The investigation moved fast. Missing persons cases always start with urgency, but this one had something else. Proximity. Emily had no connection to Daniel. No shared workplace. No known interactions. But the location wasn't coincidence. It couldn't be. Police returned to the house. This time, Daniel didn't call them. This time they came with questions. He answered all of them. Calmly. Cooperatively. Perfectly. Too perfectly. He claimed he hadn't seen anything unusual. Didn't know Emily. Didn't hear anything that night. But there was one detail he couldn't control. The neighbor's security camera. Claire Jensen had installed it months earlier after a package theft. It faced the street, capturing a wide angle, including part of Daniel's driveway. When police reviewed the footage, they found something. At 2:13 a.m., a figure. Not clear. Not identifiable. But visible. A person moving near the edge of the frame. Dragging something. Heavy. Struggling. Heading toward Daniel's property. The timestamp mattered. Because Emily left work at 1:47 a.m. Her route home passed directly through Alder Creek Road. And she never made it past it. Police requested access to Daniel's property again. This time he hesitated longer. Long enough for suspicion to solidify. But he still said yes. Because saying no would have been worse. They searched everything. The house. The yard. The garage. Nothing. No signs of struggle. No blood. No evidence. It was like Emily had vanished into thin air. Until Officer Reynolds went back to the basement. The smell was stronger now. Not overwhelming. But undeniable. He stood over the patched concrete again. Staring. Thinking. Something wasn't right. Not just the floor. The air. Felt wrong. Heavy. Like the room was holding something back. Get a thermal scan, he said. Daniel's composure cracked for the first time. Just slightly. But enough. Is that really necessary? He asked. That was the third mistake. Because minutes later the scan showed something impossible. Beneath the concrete. A void. Not natural. Not structural. Deliberate. A hollow space large enough to hide something. Or someone. The room went silent. No one spoke. No one moved. They just stared at the screen. At the shape beneath the floor. Perfectly still. Perfectly hidden. Daniel tried to speak. But the words didn't come out right. They told me it was done right, he muttered. No one had asked a question. That's when Officer Reynolds realized something critical. Daniel wasn't talking about construction. He was talking about someone else. Someone who helped. Someone who knew. Someone who made sure the evidence stayed buried. But they made one mistake. They trusted silence more than truth. And now, the truth was starting to break through.